For your denim heart cushion, you're going to need an old pair of jeans with 2 wide legs. So for the front, you're going to need 4 squares, and for the back, you're going to need 2 panels. The 2 panels will be approximately 17 inches by 10.5 inches. So hopefully you've got a jean leg 10.5 inches wide. If not, you're just going to have to use more of the leg going up the jeans. So cut your 2 back pieces, and then you're going to need 4 squares that are about 8.5 inches each, and this will give you a finished cushion cover of 15.5 inches square, suitable for a 16-inch pillow. So you could use a quilter's ruler and rotary cutter, or create a paper template and follow around. Because it's a ragged edge finish, you don't need to be too precise about your measurements. They don't need to be precisely accurate when you're cutting your squares out for the front of your pillow. So to make the heart inserts, you need some red fabric, about 7 inches square, and a variety of fabric scraps. I've got about 6 or 7 different red and pink cottons, quilting cotton weight here, and I'm just playing with them till I create a design I like the look of. So just cutting out and playing with different shapes and edges. It'll look different once it's sewn together. Just make sure you cover all your background. Once you're pleased with your design, you're going to pin it all down together, ready to run a running stitch across with a sashiko thread or an embroidery floss. This is a technique inspired by Japanese history and culture of using fabric scraps to repair clothing. So we're creating a piece of fabric from our scraps. So you've pinned it down, and now you've got a needle, and you're just doing a simple running stitch in and out across the fabric pieces, holding it all together. The stitch length is about 1/8 to 1/4 long, and as you can see, you're just stitching all the way across the fabrics, and then you're going to do a second stitch line parallel to the first. This holds all the fabrics together and creates a beautiful effect. This fabric is going to be the insert behind your denim to create the heart. So you're going to keep stitching until you've secured all the fabric all the way across. Don't get too worried that your stitch lengths are the same. It really doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be closely examining your finished pillow cover and seeing if they're identical or not. Once you've got 4 pieces of red fabric stitched together, which I find really relaxing, I have to admit, we're going to move on to the hearts. So you've got your 4 squares of denim. You're going to cut out 4 squares of heat and bond. Now these are going to be 7-inch square, because we don't want them in the seam allowance of the finished pillow. So these are deliberately smaller than the denim fabric pieces. So lay them on the wrong side and heat to adhere to the denim. Once you've done that, we're going to peel the paper off, and we're going to fold it in half to create a heart template. So you're going to use a pencil and create a heart out of your peeled off paper. Now, I realised that I'd just gone too big. I want the heart to be set inside the denim, not right up until the very edges. So you can play around. You've got 4 pieces of paper. Play until you're happy with the size of your heart, and cut it out so that you've got a template with mirror image sides. So your heat and bond reflects the size of the patchwork square, and the heart is what's cut out for the red fabric to go beneath. So just check you're happy with your size of your heart in relation to your square. Once you're happy with that, get the outer paper from the hearty side and place it onto your denim. It will adhere back to the heat and bond just by touch. So we're going to cut this heart out of the denim because we're doing reverse applique. So cut all round, and you're going to do this for all 4 patchwork squares using the same template. So remove your heart, tidy up any edges you need to, remove your paper template, turn your fabric over, so that's the right side of your denim showing. You're going to get your red fabric piece and place it behind and line up your heart inside the denim. You might want to think about the direction of your stitching. I've got 2 hearts where it's going horizontal and 2 hearts where it's going vertical. So ideally you don't want your red fabric, or you don't want your red fabric inside the seam allowance. So once you're happy with your composition and your layout, you're going to use your iron again, and you're going to adhere it all together. As you can see, I've placed the sheet of Bondaweb paper underneath my heart, and that's to protect my ironing mat, just in case the Bondaweb is wider than the red fabric base. Once you've done that, you're going to do a red running stitch around the edge of your heart using an embroidery floss or similar. Now we're going to join the 4 patchwork panels together. I'm just removing my excess red fabric here because I don't want it in the seam allowance. Now unusually you're pinning the wrong sides together. So you're going to do 2 hearts together, and you're going to stitch with 5/8 of a seam allowance. I find a denim needle useful for when I'm sewing denim on my sewing machine. So once you've got your 2 hearts together, we're now going to join the 2 panels together to create the front overall panel for the pillow. So the 4 hearts together again, right sides outwards, wrong sides facing each other. I'm just pinning the seam allowance open there. So you're going to stitch this seam again with the 5/8 of a seam allowance, and then that's the front of your pillow complete. So now we need to finish the back panels. So you've got 2 panels about 10.5 inches wide and about 17 inches long. You're going to double fold over one long edge and then machine stitch it. So I'm going for a narrow seam here. It's just so that this denim doesn't fray the one bit of your pillow that we're not wanting to fray. So do that for both of your back panels and machine stitch to finish that folded edge. So now we can assemble the pillow. So you've got the front of the pillow facing away from you, wrong side facing you. Then the back panels overlap. You want the long edges to align with the edges of the pillow, and an overlap to create your envelope on the back. If your denim's a little bit longer, we're going to trim that, so don't worry about it. So just pin it all in place. And then we're going to machine stitch round. As you can see, my panels are a little bit longer than the front cover, so I will trim so it all matches in size. Trim the excess denim so it matches the front cover. Stitch around with your 5/8 of a seam allowance. Then we're going to snip into the seam allowance, being careful not to cut the stitches themselves. About 5/8 of an inch all the way along on all the seams. This is the envelope on the back, the opening and closing of the pillow. So stick it through the washing machine and get all your edges to beautifully fray.